gotta shorten that intro next time. Sorry about that. What's up, brother? Appreciate you guys being here. Real estate's my favorite. You guys in the back, come grab a seat. Come file in. You're gonna learn a lot more up here. It's my favorite subject to talk about. Every good thing in my life has come one way or another through real estate. And every single time I've tried to invest in anything outside of real estate, I can look back later and admit that it was a mistake. And a lot of that was because I was bored, just wanted to try something different. Raise your hand if you can appreciate that a little bit, right? One thing that I know about real estate is the best way to invest is probably the boringest way to do it. And so they asked me to share a little bit of my story and about my personal brand, kind of how to build a brand to get business from that brand. And what Tanner was referring to a little bit in the intro was in 2021, on 3 different occasions, I was able to make a 7-figure sales day in a different area, make over $1 million in one day, 3 different ways, just because of my Instagram. So the first day that I did, it was actually kind of funny. You guys can appreciate this. I had there was a couple of condos in Park City that went up for sale. These were ski in, ski out condos, and it was just a killer deal. And so I put on my Instagram that I was buying a couple of these, and I went to bed. It was like 11 at night. It was the day they released them. And I woke up, and by the time I got on my computer, I had 400 people had reached out to me asking for information. I sold 31 condos that one day, average price about $500,000. So you can do the math on that and figure it out. But I had a new assistant that day. It was her first day ever working for me. And she was like, "This is a crazy job." I'm like, "This isn't normally how it goes," but it was pretty awesome. And so 3.5 years later, they're still not built, so we'll get the commission when we get it. But they're getting there, 6 months away. Another time later in that year, I opened my coaching program, We Are the They, and I had a room for 50 slots, and the yearly price of that mastermind is $18,000 per person per year, and I was hoping to fill 50 spots, and I had 147 people apply within 8 hours for those 50 spots. You can do the math on that as well. And then another time in that year, I raised some money for some projects where it brought me about almost an $800,000 commission in one day. And so I only mention that so you guys can see the reason why. I can sit up here all day long and tell you build your personal brand, but I want to give some perspective as what that can do. But even more than that, 90% of my real estate deals over my last couple of years came through Instagram, came through Facebook, came through my personal marketing. Because again, guys, we're in a business, whether you're an investor or whether you're an agent. And by the way, just so I got an idea, raise your hand if you're an agent. Good portion. Raise your hand if you're just an investor. Just an investor. That's the way to go. Okay, cool. All my best deals that I've ever flipped, I flipped about 120 homes in my career. All of the best ones came from somebody hitting me up through Instagram or Facebook and saying, "I got this house, I don't know what to do with it," right? Guy one time called me up from Springville. His wife had just died. To give you an idea how long ago this was, I'll give you the prices, but it was worth about $250 as is, and he told me he just wanted $140. He just wanted to get cash as quick as he could and be done. And I felt bad. I'm like, "Dude, I can pay you more than that." He said, "If you get it to me tomorrow, I'll take $140. So I sent him $148, called it a day, and we ended up selling it for another 75, 80 grand on top of that once we flipped it. Had one just last year, a girl she was my partner, this woman named Megan, and a guy that she used to date actually had a house he was going to flip and didn't want to anymore, and hit us up. We ended up picking it up, and we made almost $180,000 on that one sale that came through Instagram and Facebook marketing. So we live in an era, guys, we live in a time where, back when I was first getting into real estate back in 2005, raise your hand if you're in the business then. I am officially the oldest realtor in the room. Hell yeah. You guys don't know how many events I went to where I felt like the youngest guy there, so I can appreciate a room of newer people. But in 2005, when I started out, there was no Instagram or Facebook or mass marketing this way. We didn't have access to put those things up, right? And so we had to make calls all day, every day. And I built my business originally calling for sale by owners. And I just became a machine. I got on the phone for 3 hours every day. I would lock myself in this little booth. True story. I didn't have my cell phone in there because I'd get distracted. I would just have a dial phone and no chair, so I couldn't sit down, so I could keep my energy high, right? And I just dial all day. And my rule was if I talked to 30 people, I could get one appointment. That's what my numbers were, and I knew that. And so I knew that every single time I picked up the phone and made a call, it would be worth eventually $56 coming back to me. And so I just did it all day, every day. And it was awesome. I played this game called I Don't Hang Up. And so every day I would just call, and I would just either get the appointment or eventually they'd get pissed at me and hang up. And I had some thick skin, right? Been knocking doors in Mexico. I'd asked enough girls out that were out of my league. I could handle rejection, you know? I knew how to do this. And so to me, it was always a numbers game. But it was brutal. It was hard. And I got worn out. In 2008 hit, and nobody could sell a house, right? I remember at my peak, I think I was carrying 55 or 60 listings, and we'd probably get maybe one showing a week, to give you an idea. So I spent every Friday calling every seller, telling them they needed to slash their price. They were buying these homes for $400,000, they were worth $280,000. Nobody had any money, nobody put any money down, so nobody had any equity. To give you guys an idea, right now I think we have a 5.5 month supply of homes on the market. Does that sound right? Somebody studying the numbers, yeah? 3.5 right now? And it feels like, raise your hand, it feels like a hard market. A little bit, be honest. Are you guys selling at least 8 homes a month? Then it's a hard market, okay? But the bottom line it feels a little hard right now, right? But when we were doing that, it was a 21-month supply of homes on the market, to give you an idea. And so it's just brutal. And I got burned out, and I had to figure out a new way to do it. And I decided, I said, you know what if I just build a personal brand? So I started throwing parties every month. This Hee Haw Farms right here, every October for the last 10 years, we throw a party there. We just invite about 700 to 900 people will show up. We give them a pumpkin, they do the hay rides, the whole thing. And I just started building my business that way. And I started building a brand online. And some cool things happened along the way. And all of a sudden, more and more people started reaching out to me. And by about 2012, I never made another cold call in my life. It was all inbound calls. So by the time my final year, there was a full-time agent. We sold, me and my partner Tyler, with one other agent and then a couple assistants, we sold 497 homes. I never saw 450 of those houses. We had a strategy for people. They would come to us, we'd sit down, we'd have a strategy session, and then we'd sell them a home. And so the reason I share all that is that allowed me to do everything else that I get to do with my life now. It allowed me to invest and buy my own properties. Raise your hand if you guys own at least 5 doors right now, personally. Awesome, a lot of you guys. Raise your hand if you don't own a door yet. Raise your hand. A couple of you. Okay, cool. It's interesting, my real estate partner, Tyler, is the best I've ever seen at helping people invest the correct way. And when I was young, I was hungry. I was 24 years old, 23 years old. I bought my first property, a condo in Provo. My mom co-signed. And I just knew I couldn't ever miss that payment, right? And there was a few times where it got a little tight. But ultimately, I bought that first property, and I kept buying properties. But I didn't understand how to buy real estate. We didn't have podcasts. We didn't have people that had been there that were sharing information. We didn't have deeper pockets and some of these books that are out there and, mentors to teach us how to do it. So you were just listening to your broker or the guy that happened to be officing next to you. And they gave us a lot of bad information. And I bought a lot of properties the wrong way. A lot of those properties didn't cash flow. They didn't bring in more money than what was going out every month. But at the time in 05, 06, we didn't care because, and this is a true story, guys, you could buy a house with nothing down. Let's say the house was $300,000. You'd call the agent. You'd say, hey, make it $320, add 20 grand on top of my commission I get at the closing. They'd say, done. So you walk away with a check for $29,000 at the closing in a new house. I don't know why it all fell apart or how, but. So this is what was happening out there. It was wild. It was the Wild West. It was not okay. And so this was how I was investing in real estate. And by the time I was 26 years old, I had 13 houses. And I thought I was just like God's gift to real estate, right? And then I wasn't. The market turned. And thankfully, my mentor let me know about 8 months ahead of time. And I got rid of all but 2 of those houses. And the 2 houses I didn't get rid of didn't cash flow. And I had to sell them at a loss. I ended up losing about $150K, but it was worse because I didn't have the money at the time, but the banks wouldn't short sell like everybody else because they saw how much money I was making. I was just really bad at keeping it. And so I had to keep a loan for both houses. So I had a 0% interest loan for $150,000, but no houses. And raise your hand if you ever had a house payment with no house. That's fun. Thankfully, I got into flipping homes and flipped a couple meth houses. Those are cheat code, by the way. You don't have to disclose it. Once you remediate it and do the whole thing, I bought a house in Taylorsville for $11,000, you guys. It was a wild time. Yeah, we sold it for like $110,000. Bought a condo in Park City for like $32,000, meth homes. A house in Murray for $125,000. Once we remediated it was like $300,000. So like within a year, we had these 3 huge wins. I got it all paid off, thank God. But it was a really hard time to do it right. And nobody was teaching how to do it the right way. And so me and my partner, Tyler, when I finally got back to even, by the way, raise your hand if you're under 30 years old. Raise your hand if you feel like you're behind financially. Okay? Everybody does. This is like this, God bless us, but we live in a generation where We can get anything we want really fast, right? You want a date? Jump on Tinder, pop, 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 pop. Within 9 minutes, you got a couple girls interested. You want some food? Jump on Uber Eats. Within 30 minutes, some college kid's bringing you anything you want to your door. I've Uber Eated like a Rockstar energy drink to my house just for shits and giggles, like $11. I'm like, I don't care. I have privilege. I'm doing this, you know. I feel like a king, you know. We have advantages today that the richest person alive did not have 100 years ago, literally. And so it's just really easy to get impatient. And so we always feel like we want it now, and if it's not happening, something's wrong. And the first thing I want to talk about a little bit is you guys are building your real estate businesses, just because this is a lot of investors and realtors, is patience is going to be the key, you guys. Every successful person I know, they took the boring route, and it's being consistent over time for 10 years. That's how you build anything. And every single time I tried to take a shortcut, I got my ass kicked, okay? So my real estate partner, Tyler, he's brilliant at buying real estate. He's helped over 4,000 investors buy a house, to give you an idea. Okay, the dude's a machine. Have you guys ever met Tyler Bennett? Anybody? Dude's the best. And so me and him partnered up, and I would do all the stuff online to get people interested, and then Tyler would sit down and do a strategy session with every one of them. And we teach these basic principles in real estate investing. And I have a pamphlet I actually made. If you go to jimmyrexfree.com and just fill that out, actually I'll send it to you. Although I think we added my book and you have to pay. You know what, send me a DM on Instagram. That'll be easier because that's free. That's my Instagram right there. If you guys send me a DM and just say, I want your free investor guide, I'll send it to you guys all for free, okay? Basically, it's a 30-page guide of how to invest correctly in real estate. Is it better when I hold it up here or down here? Does it matter? Better down? All right, cool. I don't even think it's working. I'm just yelling, but whatever. And I'll send that to you guys. Put your email, though. People are always like, send the guide. I'm like, cool, need your email. So put your email in there. I'll make sure my assistant sends that over to you. Sound good? But that being said, we created this method, and I'm not going to go into details in it, but basically it's a very conservative, very boring way to build a real estate portfolio. And it all has to do with cash flow. And no matter what you guys are buying, like no offense to Edge Homes, but 2 years ago, all my friends that were realtors were trying to sell these investments, Edge Homes. I'm like, y'all are crazy. It's $575,000 townhomes. It's never going to pencil. And they all got their asses handed to them. And so you got to be careful what you're buying. And cash flow is going to be the number one thing. It's always going to be the most important. And if you're not cash flowing at least $100 for every 100 grand you're spending, it should be a straight no. It doesn't matter what else anybody's telling you. That thing is a dead no at that point, okay? Me and my partner Tyler researched 93 cities across the country the last few years to find 2 markets that we buy homes in. They're the only 2 out of 93 markets that still work. And so as an investor, one of your jobs is to really do that research and figure out where the opportunities lie. As a realtor, even more so, it's your job and responsibility. Like me and my partner, if we've never put somebody in a property we wouldn't own ourselves, wouldn't buy ourselves. And because of that, we've sold, again, between us almost 7,000 houses, and we don't have a single person that's bought a home in the last 10 years that regrets it because we won't let them use it. What we get is the phone call of one of our buddies that tried to go around us, and he bought a condo or a townhome that he thought was going to appreciate 40 grand. Instead, it went down 60 grand, and now he's calling us to help him out. But that happens all the time, okay? And the number one rule with investing is you don't want to lose your money. It sounds, I wish that somebody had stood up in front of me and pounded this in my head, but do not invest in things you don't understand, and never buy real estate that does not cash flow. And then the second part of that is once you buy real estate that does cash flow, never sell it unless it's to buy more real estate immediately, to roll it right into more real estate. Like my biggest regret in life is literally selling real estate I didn't need to. And I just did it because I was bored. I would be mad at a neighbor or something that was pissing me off because they kept calling about the bushes. And I'm like, sell it. I'm making $900 a month on investment property, you know? Damn thing tripled in the last 10 years. Stuff like that. And so my point is like, you know, once you find good cash flow real estate, hang on to that and stay on that. But as far as finding deals going, for you guys that are, whether you're a realtor or investor, the reason why you need to build your brand is because every single one of us, we are so close to like, there won't even be other marketers anymore. It's just everybody is their own brand. And everything that you're doing is going to build your brand, whether you want it to or not. You're either building it for positive or negative all the time. And by the way, nobody's gonna hype you for you, so you kind of gotta hype yourself. Bad news, okay? I have so much respect for these guys, what they're doing, Jane and Tanner, because they're putting themselves out there and they're doing something to network and to brand themselves, right? Like, who knows more about real estate investing than the 2 guys that started the Real Estate Investing Club, right? If you guys have questions, you're gonna go to them. My first book that I wrote, I interviewed the top 100 real estate agents across the country. The only reason I did it is because I knew, instead of giving somebody my business card, if I give them a book where I'm the author of the book and I've interviewed the 100 top agents, then I am the expert in real estate, right? They put it up all the time, about your expert, right? Like, trust me, like you guys have a funny story. If you want to Google this, Google Jimmy Rex houseboat. I sunk a houseboat like 6-7 years ago, and it's a whole other story for another day. But the news wanted to interview me. I was like, no, you guys suck. You're going to change the story. You're going to make me look bad. And so they're like, no, I promise we won't. And I said, I'll do it under one condition. Throughout the article, you have to refer to me every time as real estate expert Jimmy Rex. They're like, done. Do you do real estate? I'm like, of course. They didn't even care. They don't check anything. So if you guys Google it, literally Google Jimmy Rex houseboat, and every single article will say, real estate expert sinks houseboat, real estate expert Jimmy Rex was on Lake Powell, boom, boom, boom. Like, it's like hundreds of articles about it. And so you have to brand yourself. Like a few months after that, Donovan Mitchell, when he was here on the Jazz, he put a tweet out on like July 3rd. And he was like, yo, where's the barbecue tomorrow? I'm going to crash the party or something like that. Well, what people didn't know is his team had already called me to host a party for him and the other players that we were hosting for them. And so we throw this big pool party barbecue, and Donovan Mitchell shows up, and a video gets leaked or a picture, and so it ends up going viral. It's on SportsCenter, everything else. And same thing, news calls me. Go ahead and Google Donovan Mitchell, Jimmy Rex, and all the articles will pop up. Same thing. They're like, we want the story. How'd this happen? What happened? I said, only if you'll refer to me as real estate expert Jimmy Rex. They're like, yeah, of course. So every article, real estate expert Jimmy Rex had no problem with Donovan Mitchell crashing his birthday, his barbecue party. So my point of that is, you guys, is you have to be shameless when it comes to marketing yourself, because people don't know, right? And I've been on stages with some of these biggest influencers in the world now. Like, I share stages all the time with, Ed Milet wrote the foreword for my book. I've shared stages with Tony Robbins, and you name it. I've had 620 people on my podcast now. I just had on the guy that killed Osama bin Laden. I had Roger Clemens, my childhood baseball hero, 7 Cy Young Awards, right? Like, all these people on, and it's the same thing with every one of these people. Like, no one thing is ever going to move the needle. You have to constantly be working on this and putting it out there. But nothing will bring you a greater reward in today's world than building a personal brand. And people do business with people for two reasons, okay? It's whoever they like and who they trust. People they like and people they trust. So how do you get that trust from other people? Well, there's two types of trust, okay? Who knows the difference between the two types of trust? Anybody? Well, I'll tell you. That's what I'm here for. Number one is, I trust that you know what you're doing, right? You have to prove to people you know what the hell you're doing, okay? I had him do that specific intro so that you go, oh shit, the guy almost sold 500 homes in a year. I should probably listen to him. How many of you guys perked up a little bit like, I probably trust this guy knows what the hell he's talking about when he said that, right? So you have to build trust through reputation. So what I used to do when I was, newer in the business is I'd start making Facebook Live videos, and I was putting out all these videos. It's so funny to look back on them now, but I was teaching people how to buy real estate. I was breaking down real estate deals. I do this every other week. I'd pull one of my investors on with me, and we would break down the deal that he just bought, an investment property. And we would just show the numbers. We'd just show people, because people would see like, wow, this guy is the expert. He knows what he's doing. I can trust that he knows what he's doing. That was the first step to get people to want to work with me. The second step is they have to trust that you won't screw them over. They have to trust you as a human being, right? So how do you do that? Well, you show them who you are. You show your life. You do things. You be vulnerable a little bit. You talk about real stuff, okay? Most people are embarrassed when they make a bad investment, right? How many of you guys follow me on Instagram already? Or how many did 2 weeks ago? A couple of you. How many of you saw the post I made about all the losses I had in one particular person I worked with, right? Did that make you trust me more or less as a person? More as a person. Probably less as an investor. It's like 8 losses out of 9. But what happens is most people are afraid to show that. They'd be like embarrassed. And I'm like, I don't care. I've had a lot of wins. I've had a lot of losses. But I'm real with people, okay? And I break down all the time on my TikTok. I break down real estate investments I've made. I break down restaurant investments I've made, business investments I've made. I broke down a movie I invested in. And I break down all the numbers, and I show people the real numbers. I invested a couple $100,000 into a movie project one time, right? And we ended up making by God's grace, thank God the Salt Lake Tribune gave us a positive review, but we made $7,000 by the time it was all said and done. And we had a deal with Netflix. We were the Deseret Book, Black Friday special movie, and we still barely made any money, but people probably thought it was a giant success. And I just show the numbers. And then people are like, wow, that's crazy. But they trust you as a human being if you're being honest with them. Okay, what's one of the smartest things you can ever say as a real estate agent, you guys? I used to say this at least once a day. People would ask me a question, and I'd say, you know what, I have no idea. Let me find out and get back to you. It's the best thing you can say to somebody. We try to act like we know more, we're smarter, whatever else. And the best thing you can do to build that trust is if you don't know, you say, I have no idea, dude. Let me get back to you on that, right? Or, hey, I think I screwed that up. I need to talk to you and apologize, whatever that might be. Just by doing that, you build that trust with other people, and then they want to do business with you. So when you're thinking about building your brand, right, there's a couple parts of this. And number one is like if you want people to be interested in you, you got to be interesting, okay? That's the first thing I'd say. Like figure out a way to be interesting. Who here thinks they're very interesting? Okay, awesome. How do you show people you're interesting? You share stuff, right? You share stories, you share experiences. When I first wanted to build my Instagram page, I had a friend, her boyfriend was staying at my house at the time, and so she was over a lot. She basically slept there as well, and she was gaining like 25,000 followers a day on her Instagram. She was pretty new to the game. She was 19 years old. It was like 7, 8 years ago. I'm like, this is crazy. And her mom was a lawyer, and one day she came to me, she said, Jimmy, I made more money this week than my mom made this year. She's a lawyer. I was like, what the hell? Like, show me what you're doing. And she's like, this post from today, I made $8,000. This post yesterday, $8,000. She's had all these crazy deals going. And so I sat her down. I just, all right, Charlie, I need to know what you're doing here. Talk to me. How the hell are you pulling this off? And she would teach me. She said, look, you got to go be interesting. You got to get people interested in what you're doing so that they want to follow you and learn more. Once they're following you, you can talk about other things. But the mistake that realtors make, by the way, realtors are the worst at social media, okay? You guys all following each other. That's a hellish page to have to be on. But the problem is we all want to show these stupid deals. And who posts a listing? Be honest, you posted your listing. Who gave a shit? Nobody, right? You did it because you wanted your seller to see you were actually doing something to sell his house, besides praying it would sell. And we do this, but what it really does is it just turns everyone off to what we're posting. And so if you want to be interesting, you've got to go out and do interesting things. So for me, I traveled the world. I ended up going, like Tanner said in the intro, I've been to 112 countries now. And I would take these pictures. And I was shameless, you guys. I don't do this now because I feel like I'm past that stage. But I might or might not in Singapore made some random strangers, God bless them. It was like 3 of them because they kept moving on. Like, take this same picture of me until I got it right. They're like, we didn't really sign up for this. I'm like, I know, but I need the shot. And they weren't getting it. So it took like 60 photos to get the damn thing right. You guys ever seen the infinity pool in Singapore from like Crazy Rich Asians? It's really hard to get a good shot without 100 people in your photo. So anyway, I've like had people that are like taking my photo. I'm like, can you stand on like the ledge of that thing and take it? It's a better angle. And they're just like, wait, what? That's like a 100-foot drop. I'm like, just go. And the point of it is like you want to make sure that you're interested. You got to put effort into it, right? A lot of agents that are doing a good job on this, they're showing why they're good at real estate. Show what you're doing. Like, talk about it. Share your wins. Nobody else is going to promote you. And when you're doing something cool, share it. I saw a video the other day. It was an agent in another city. I don't remember where she was, but she had like a grenade. It was a house that was under construction. I'm going to give you a little pearl here. You ready, Edge Homes? So you take this. She took a grenade and she like threw it, and then she ducks behind like the garbage can. And then when it goes off, it shows the home completed. And it was like she's walking. It was really cool. It was like, you know what I'm talking about? That wasn't an actual grenade. You guys understand what she did. It was like it was a video effect, right? Also, maybe throw a real grenade. I don't know. You'll get some action on that. That'll get some views. When I sunk my houseboat, that was literally my entire TikTok was built. I have, I think, 14 million likes now on my TikTok or whatever. It's like I get deals all the time. I get a lot of people that join my program from it. The whole thing started because I took that video of me sinking my houseboat, and it was my first 5 posts were like the story of that houseboat sinking, and it ended up getting 150 million views. It got shared by the Coast Guard, by Mike Tyson, like all these different people. And well, what I did is I put Titanic music to it, you know? It was pretty good. And I was just laughing as my boat was sinking, because what the hell is you gonna do, you know? So what happens when you grow up with a dad that yells at you about anything? I'm like, well, I'm just gonna enjoy it then, whatever. We're not gonna get mad about this. So anyway, I'm just trying to give you guys an overall broad perspective here of how this can help your businesses. But if you're looking to invest in real estate homes, you guys want the best deals out there, you need to start talking about real estate investing. Start letting people know, like, hey man, if you're, and like, be fun with it, have fun with it. Be like, if your grandma's dying and you don't want to have to clean out the gross house because she smells funny already. You can't imagine when she's dead. Call me. I'm just giving you an example. Don't do that. But like, go walk homes that are pieces of shit. Like, go walk them and show people and be like, I used to play this game on my Instagram at least twice a week when I was buying and flipping a lot of houses, and I'd say keep it or kick it, right? And I'd just show stupid things in houses. You get like a stuffed bat or some shit. Like, you know what I'm talking about, some of these houses. Or, somebody had a stack of beer cans as high as this blue sign. And I was like, kick it or keep it. And I would just put stuff up there so people knew I was walking homes. It wasn't in their face real estate, but it was a constant reminder that, man, if I ever have a question on real estate, Jimmy's my guy. And no house is too ugly for Jimmy to buy. I flipped 120 houses in about 4 years, all because I just kept putting stuff on social media. Almost every lead came off of that. And so what are you doing to build your personal brand? Does everybody in your life know that you do real estate, right? When I first started real estate, I said, when people think of me, I want them to think of real estate. And then I changed my mind. I said, no, it's got to be better than that. When people think of real estate, I want them to think of me. And I set out to do that. And it was just obsessed with this idea of like, if I can brand myself as the real estate expert, then I won't ever have to worry about deals again. I had 3 years in a row where we had over $3 million in commissions, and I didn't make a single outbound call. I was basically taking orders. So that just gives you guys an idea why this is so important to build a brand, okay? I see realtors work so hard on so many different things, and they just are lazy with building their brand. They just do what everyone else is doing. Like, don't do that. It's not working for them. I love when people get up and they teach how to sell real estate. Anybody who's ever been to like Keller Williams Family Reunion or the RE/MAX convention, and they get some lady up there that's got like 1,200 followers on her Instagram, and she's teaching social media marketing. It's like the whole thing's wrong. Every deal she gets is from her SOI because she's been doing this for 45 freaking years. And she's telling people how to market by putting their listings up. And I'm like, no, it's all wrong. Like, you've got to find a way to make it interesting so that people want to reach out to you. And then all of a sudden, one day, you'll put up a condo you're buying in Park City and you'll sell 31 of them in one day, right? That's how it goes, you guys. And you guys are young, like they're just on their phones. They're 8 hours a day. That's what they're staring at. And so find a way to get people interested. That's the best thing I can say. So I'm open to some questions you guys want, whatever questions you guys might have for me. I'm a pretty open book, so feel free to ask me anything you want, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Yeah?
So what's your thoughts on a personal social media versus a business social media?
Nobody wants to follow your business. You should have one social media. It's you. You are your business. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And it depends on where you're at. I mean, if you have no traction at all, maybe, but I would just pick it up where you're at. And you can delete them all. I used to have like 1,500 posts, and I went through and I deleted like 1,000 of them. I just said, you know what? I'm just going to keep all my favorite posts. And I went through and I deleted like 1,000 posts, right? And so you can go in and just correlate it to be what you want it to be. By the way, guys, hit people. A lot of you guys are afraid to pick up the phone and go. How many of you guys make at least 30 calls a day? Be honest. A couple of you. Okay, awesome. I was obsessed with that number, 30 a day, right? I knew that if I made 30 calls a day, everything else took care of itself. But if you're not going to make 30 calls a day, and most of you won't, send 30 messages on Instagram a day. Send 30 messages on Facebook a day, right? Send messages on TikTok, whatever it is. But you've got to connecting with people. You got to be touching bases with people, okay? Yeah?
In your approach when you're talking to people, do you just like get to the point, or do you like the chitter chatter?
Depends. Have you guys ever studied the behavioral styles, the 4 behavioral styles? So I got some videos on my YouTube. If you type in Jimmy Rex behavioral style, you can find them on there. But there's 4 different types of people. And if they're a driver, yes, straight to the point. But if they're an expressive, an amiable, or an analytical, definitely not straight to the point. So you want to treat people the way they want to be treated. And real estate's super simple, guys. If you want to figure out which one they are, you ask them one question. When you're on the phone with them, you say, hey, please describe your house to me, okay? The driver will go, I don't know, it's like 3,000 square feet. What do you want to know? It's like, that's good, thanks. The expressive will start telling you all about themselves. They can't help it. It's in their DNA. They just will start somehow relating it back to them, okay? The amiable will talk about the neighbors and how sweet everything is and the things that she loves about the house. And the analytical will tell you exactly the details of that house, and he's going to do it at half the speed that I'm talking right now. It will be like the house is 3,218 square feet. It's on 0.23 acres. He's going to tell you about the floor that you don't give a shit about. He's going to tell you about all these things that are going to give him details because that's their analytical. And so you have to learn how to close each one. Like a driver, okay? If I'm talking to a driver, I know that their biggest fear is being taken advantage of and that they want to get straight to the point. So my average appointment with a driver is less than 9 minutes. I walk in the door, I say, hey man, you told me to be here at 3, I'm here at 3, can we go sit down? He goes, great. I sit down, I flap through the comps super fast. I go, listen man, talking to me, do you feel like I can sell your house? And he usually goes, yeah. I said, great, let's sign the paperwork, I'm ready to go. He's like, hell yeah, this is my guy, right? Now with an analytical, I spend 2 hours at the house. I have graphs, I have stats, I have charts. I talk at this speed. I bet you think I'm talking way too fast tonight, don't you? It's okay, because I can tell you're more of an analytical probably. Of course you are, I can tell in 2 seconds. You start to be able to read people and it's a superpower. But at the end of the day, and you tell me if this would turn you on. What's your name? McKay. I bet I'm gonna turn you on right now. You ready for this? Instead of closing you after 2 hours of going through every comp and each thing we're gonna go through every single one, I'm gonna give you your pace, I'm gonna give you the stats, I'm gonna give you graphs, and then at the end of it, I'm gonna say this, McKay. McKay, I understand this is a really big decision on who's gonna sell your house. The last thing I want is for you to make the wrong decision. So rather than me ask you to sign the paperwork tonight, I'm gonna give you 5 references of people that have sold homes in the last month with me. Will you do me a favor and just call them tonight? And then I'll follow up with you tomorrow, see if you have any additional questions. And if not, we can talk about maybe going forward. But I just, more than anything, I wanna make sure there's no other questions you have so we can make sure you make the right decision. Is that fair?
That's fair.
How would that feel to you? Yeah. Okay, because their biggest fear, guys, is that they don't want to be wrong. They would rather not make a decision than make the wrong decision. If you know that, then you would never try to close them in the one meeting. Okay? I just gave him the exact thing he was thinking in his head. I don't want to get this wrong. And I said, the last thing you want to do is make the wrong decision. He's, holy shit, I never felt so seen in my life, right? And then he says, okay, well, and then I said, call these references. By the way, they will call. Give them good references. And then by the time I call him tomorrow at noon, it's already signed. He's ready to go. But if I try to close him the same day, this guy's reckless, he's pushy, I don't like him, I don't trust him. That's how it goes. By the way, you want to hear expressives and amiables while I'm at it? You guys ever taken this training before, anybody? The behavioral styles. There's a really good book if you want to read about it called The Platinum Rule. Highly recommend it, but since you asked the question, I'm answering this. This is like ninja shit, guys. People don't know this, okay? I was closing 98% of my appointments using these strategies, okay? If you sit down with an amiable, you have to understand that their biggest thing that they're rewarded by is being part of something bigger than themselves. So they want to be part of a team, okay? Their biggest fear is conflict. So do not do what you do with the driver or anybody else that way. Now, with the amiable, you want to make sure they feel like it's part of a team. So who here thinks they're amiable? Raise your hand. Okay, so you tell me how this lands with you. I'm sure you probably are. If I said to you, like, listen, after I've gone through your house, by the way, and I'm going to tell you, please walk me through your home as if I'm the next buyer. I want to find somebody that will love this home as much as you have and that will fit into this neighborhood with the rest of your friends. Is that fair? Already she's like, shit, I like this guy. He cares about the people and everything else. And this ain't manipulation. You're treating people the way they want to be treated, right? So then I let her walk me through the home and we're talking about all the shit I don't care about. And then we sit down. And by the time we sit down, I say to her, I say, listen, I need your help. If you're willing to work with me here, I know we can find somebody to love this house the way you have. Will you agree to help me to help get this home sold? I'm going to need a lot of your help. Because what do amiables love to do? Help. They want to help. They want to be a team. They want to be part of something bigger than themselves. She's like, oh my gosh, this is my favorite human alive. They sign the contract, okay? With expressives, they're very spontaneous. They forget that they've already said no, right? So with an expressive, I'll show up and I'll immediately just start talking about him. Dude, I love your shoes, I love your hair, whatever. They love to feel good about themselves. They're the life of the party. Everything relates back to themselves. That's how they see the world. So I'll say, dude, give me a tour of the house. And everything that's cool in his house, I'm going to ask him about it. Dude, did you went skydiving? Where'd you go skydiving? I've been skydiving. Dude, tell me about your skydiving. He's going to talk all about it. And then there's like some weird rock. Dude, what's the rock from? Dude, I went to Jamaica and blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter, right? And we sit down and I'm going to do the whole thing. I'm like, awesome, man. And by the way, their biggest fear is not being liked, okay? And they're rewarded by awards and accolades, things like that. So when I sit down to close them, I'm going to say, all right, dude, well, you've got all the information now. The only thing left, have you ever signed a contract before? And they go, no. Okay, cool, it's super simple. I'll walk you through it. That's my close, okay? They'll 90% of the time, they'll go for that. If they don't go for that, they're like, well, I just need to think about it. I was like, oh, of course, dude. By the way, like you were talking about, like, what is it again? Like, tell me a little bit about where you're going. Get them to forget that they just told you no, okay? You come back to it 5 minutes later. You say, awesome, man. Well, have you ever signed a contract before? Like, it's pretty simple. No, remember, I want to, oh, yeah. And then I was like, hey, by the way, can I use your bathroom real quick? Sure. I'll go to the bathroom. I'll come back. I'm so tell me more about the house. Like, how did you guys love living here? Blah, blah, blah. Get them talking. I'll say, all right, dude, listen, man, I feel like we should just get this going. Don't you think we should just, let me sell your house, bro. I want to get this started. I don't know. I kind of want to think about it a little bit. And I'm like, no, that's totally cool, dude. By the way, dude, and I'll just talk about something else. And then I'll come back. And then eventually, their biggest fear is what? I just told you. Not being liked, right? If I have to go there with them, I will. I've never not closed an Expressive, by the way. I'll say, dude, I just want to know, like, for my own feedback, like, how come you're not jiving with me? What did I do wrong? No, I like you, bro. What does it feel like? I feel like you agree on the price. You agree that I could get it sold, but we're still not. No. You know what? Let's just do it, dude. You're good. You're right. Let's sign the contract. They're spontaneous. You guys can like that or not, but that shit works. So, anyway, hopefully that answers your question. Okay? Study that stuff, you guys. You got to learn how to work with people. Know when to keep your mouth shut. If somebody knocks on my door and they're a salesperson, I'm a high driver. And if they start, hey man, just in the neighborhood, we're doing a survey and we're having a free event. And I was like, what do you want, dude? He's like, oh, well, okay, so I work with the power company and we work with the solar companies. I go, no, you don't. Do you actually work with the power company? Well, yeah, we're doing the solar thing, but you work for the power company. You just said you work for the power company, do you? Well, we do. You lied. Your pitch is a fucking lie, dude. Gone. See ya. Now, if they come to the door, though, and they say, dude, are you interested in helping out with this? Well, tell me more about it. It's this. All right, let's do it. Cool. Right? Because my biggest fear as a driver is being taken advantage of. I don't like it when people lie to me, try to manipulate me. Even if you start small talking me, dude, I love your pumpkins. Where'd you get the decorations? I'm like, Harmon's. What do you want? You know? And that's how it goes. Because I'm a driver. I can't help myself. That's how I feel. So I say it. Okay? I'm not worried about your feelings. I just want you off my porch. So that's how that goes. Any other questions? Yeah.
A little bit of a loaded question, but if you were to start from ground zero as being like a real estate agent, you wanted to build your personal brand, what would you do to start?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. If I was starting today, I'd become obsessed with the number 500, okay? I would make sure that within a year I had 500 people I was friends with that I was marketing to. When I was doing real estate, you guys, I'd make 30 calls a day, and I went to an event like this every single night. I know you guys are taking your business serious because on a Tuesday night, you're an event for marketing and business and listening to me. So you guys are here. You guys are doing the thing. But every single night, I would go to events. I would meet people. I would connect with them. And I would not ask for anything until I'd provided enough value that it wasn't obvious that I could ask them for something in return. So just be obsessed with building your network. Right? So that's number one. I'd be obsessed with building my network. And then I'd be obsessed with becoming an expert at the market. Like if you don't know exactly how much homes are renting for, how much homes are selling for, like my gift was you could tell me your house and I could tell you within seconds how much that house would sell for because I was obsessed with every single day I'd study every new home that hit the market for like an hour. I'd go through every single house. That was the first hour of my day when I was in the office after I was done prospecting. So I knew the markets. I knew what to tell them. I knew what they'd rent for. I knew what these houses were a good deal or not, and people feel that. And so the first thing I'd do if I was a new agent is that I'd make at least 30 to 40 calls a day. You don't have anything else to do. And then I'd go walk through probably 5 or 6 homes a day. In every one of those houses, I'd leave a really good business card. And I'd say, hey, I'm just previewing the home for a client. Here's my card. Appreciate you. And then when their house doesn't sell, I'd keep track of each house I'd gone to, and I'd follow back up with them. And then I'd call 20 or 30 for sale by owners and just get my ass kicked by them and fall in love with the process of getting rejected all the time. And by doing that, you're going to get over this inertia. It's like people are like, wow, that's so dangerous. They hate you. Like I'm scared to call these people. I'll give you guys a quick little thing, okay? You're not that important. Neither am I. Like nobody gives a shit about you or me or anybody else. Everybody cares about themselves. They do, okay? You can affect a very small amount of people in your life. By the way, let me give you guys a little quiz I like to give. 1 out of 50 people usually gets this right. Raise your hand if you know the name of your great-great-grandma. Don't lie. 1 out of 50. 1 out of 100. Okay, 1, right? And tell me something interesting about her. Huh? Okay, that's it though. You know her name and she died at 100, right? What did she do for work? A mom. So my point of this is no one else even knows. We think we're so important. We're going to leave this legacy. We're going to be remembered for generations. Guys, we're going to die. No one's going to care. 2 generations. This is like 100 years ago. You don't even know their name, let alone anything about them. We're just not that important. And when you can wrap your head around that, all of a sudden your ego goes, oh, I can get yelled at calling for sale by owners. I don't have to worry what everyone thinks of me all the time. Because here's the trick. They're not thinking about you. They're thinking about their own selves. We get so caught up in our heads, and it keeps us from making calls. It keeps us from going up and approaching people. It keeps us from asking the cute girl on a date or from starting the business because we're so worried what people will think. How many of you guys, be honest, don't post more on social media because you're afraid of what people are going to think? Yeah. Very common, right? Nobody gives a shit. Best case scenario, your video is so bad it goes viral. Otherwise, they just swipe to the next video. They do not care. When was the last time, Eric, somebody saw one of your videos and started calling everyone else, telling them how bad your video was? Zero. That's not happening, right? No one cares. I had a podcast I did a couple weeks ago. I've got 620 podcasts. I didn't really love the episode, if I'm being honest. It was pretty lame. And I was contemplating whether putting it out. And I finally said, it doesn't matter. No one gives a shit anyways. I'll just put it out. And nobody commented. But guess what? When I did a podcast with Mitt Romney, guess what else happened? Nobody mentioned it to me. Like, it just doesn't matter. You have to just keep doing these things over and over, and eventually you're going to make a change. You're going to have influence and things like that. But we get so caught up in getting this thing right and what people are going to think of us, and they're just not thinking of you no matter what. And so that's my best advice. This is our only life, guys. It's not a test run. And so quit, I was talking to Ed Milet about this. He came and spoke at my event back in February, and he said, the only difference between the people you see that are doing it, that have millions of followers, that are on stages, writing the books, whatever it is, and the people that aren't, is the people that are like doing it, they're just really good at taking action, not caring if it's gonna work. They're very willing to take action, not caring if it's gonna work. And that's it, it's the only difference. So the saddest thing to me is a person that has unrealized dreams that doesn't act on those. And so take action, fall on your face, like purposely go get rejected 25 times tomorrow. Go up and ask 25 random strangers to give you $100. Do it. They're gonna think you're nuts. But guess what's gonna not be weird the next day? When you call for sale by enter and ask them if you can get an appointment to this other house. These people put a giant red sign in front of their house and say, I don't have a realtor, and we're like, I ain't calling them. You know what I mean? Anyway. Yeah. My for sale by owner pitch? I'll give you my SOI pitch first. How's that? Because what you don't want to do, anything worse than the phone call when they're small talking, you just know that they're about to ask for something, and they're like, dude. As the driver in me, I'm like, come on, Bro, they screwed up your hat. It's like upside down. I like it. I just noticed that. See, no one cares. He's wearing a hat upside down. Don't even mention it all day. Doesn't even matter. Nobody cares. See, guy's not even wearing socks. No one cares. I'm not wearing underwear. No one gives a shit. See, doesn't matter. I had a buddy get his 2 front teeth blasted out in an event I was doing last weekend. We all laughed. No one cared, right? We're so afraid. Anyway, so if I'm calling my SOI, it's pretty simple. I just call them up and I say, hey, it's Jimmy. Just want to call real quick. Do you have 2 seconds for a business call? They're like, sure, man. What's up? And I'd say, do you just want to know if you know anybody looking to buy or sell a house? Honestly, no, man. Cool. Do you have a realtor that you and your family use by chance? Well, no, not really. Do you mind if I become that for you? Like I can be your family realtor and I'll just send you information from time to time. I'll send you an occasional email like once a month and then maybe call you once or twice a year and just see if you know anyone looking to buy or sell. Yeah, man, no worries, of course. Cool. Hey, can I do anything for you? No, we're good, man. Awesome. Well, let me know if I ever can. That's one way to do it. That's very scary for some people, even that, okay, as safe as that is. Here's an easier way to do it. So I had 3 agents on my team that would never make the phone calls. They were afraid. So I started throwing a monthly event for the sole purpose that they could call the 200 people in their SOI and just go, hey, Jared, what's up, man? It's Jimmy. Hey, just want to invite you real quick. We are hosting an event at Hee Haw Farms. We rented it out. It's free for you and your family. Come get a free pumpkin, hay rides, corn maze, the whole bit. Just want to invite you guys. It's October 23rd. Let me know if you guys can make it. We're starting at 5:30. Awesome, man. Appreciate you. Hey, while I got you on the phone, do you know anybody looking to buy or sell a house? No, not right now. Awesome, man. Well, we'll hopefully see you at the event. See you then. Boom. And I even told my agents for the first year, don't even ask them for referrals. Just invite them to an event every quarter or every month, whatever we were doing. And at the end of a year, it's the easiest phone call in the world. You just call them and you ask. But you got to find ways where you're going to do it. The key to life, guys, is finding the system that's going to work. People make fun of me for some of my systems because I'm pretty old school. But it's like the best system is the one that works, right? What's the best diet? Well, it's the one you keep, right? Like I tried the carne diet or the meat diet. I lasted 13 days and couldn't shit, and I never wanted to see another steak or bacon in my life. I'm like, this ain't for me. Got to mix in some other stuff. It was sad. So my point is like you got to find the system that works, guys, right? That's the best system for you, okay? I speak a certain way when I speak. I'm sure plenty of you are like, not my guy. I'm okay with that, because some of you are like, I like this guy. I might call him to buy a house someday. And that's the whole point, is you got to find your people being real, right? Yeah.
So, I've done it a while. I've got plenty of appointments, and I do plenty of business. How do you not get burned out? Like doing all of this. Now I've got a lot of business and I'm working longer than I want. Like you were talking about her appointment, man. If I did that, I want to just throw them in the toilet. Like, oh my gosh, I don't want to deal with this. Like,
Yeah.
you know, just like.
Well, you will. You will get bored and you will tire out and you will get sick of it. And that's when you have to decide, all right, what is a better way to do this? And what I always said is, what is the one part of this business nobody else can do as well as me? I've got to be the one coaching. I got to be the one on stages. I got to be the one that's going on these appointments. I got to be the one doing that. But I can have other people show the homes for me. I can have other people doing the paperwork for me. I can have other people doing the parts that I don't want to do. I've kind of set up my life now where I don't do anything I don't want to do, if I'm being honest. And I have people in place that are really good that do everything for me. And so you've got to be, and I'm always willing to pay people in my life. I pay very well. My real estate assistant made over 300 grand his last 5 years, a year. So I paid him so well, but guess what? When I called him at 9:30 at night and we had to write a contract, he's a homebody. He loved it. Dude, just like, I never made him work Sundays, and he had pretty much every weekend home as well, but if I ever needed him, within seconds he was writing my contract for me, doing whatever I needed.
Once you were like busy, what would you say was your next step to the next level?
Yeah, every 35 homes you're selling, and I say if you're an investor, probably every 15 homes you're doing, you should have an assistant or somebody on your team, every 35 houses. So you should have some kind of admin support for every 35 homes you're doing.
So, can you clarify on that? Like,
So if you're a realtor and you're selling 3 homes a month, you should have a full-time assistant. If you can't afford full-time, you should get a part-time assistant to start and just make sure they work their ass off. And then when you get to 70, maybe bring on another part-time or whatever. And then you bring on a buyer's agent maybe. I had my assistant show homes for me because I never wanted to give up half of my commission to a buyer's agent. So part of his salary was he just showed homes. He didn't get any extra. It's just part of his deal is he had to go show homes for me. And so that's how I do it. Does that make sense?
yeah, that's great.
Cool. Yeah.
I want to know that now that you've established your brand, how are you monetizing that? Tanner said you're on to bigger, better things. I'm curious what you're up to now.
Yeah, I mean, you monetize it different ways. So I have my coaching program. That's my main income right now. I have almost 400 paying members of that. And so that obviously was monetized through my social media.
You increase your price from 18. Is it higher now or is it still 18?
That's my leadership program. We have a smaller, or like a more of a entry level one that's $300 a month. And the other one's $1,500 a month. But so that program is one way. Through social media, I got invited to speak on stages. I'm flying to this weekend to Vegas. On Monday, I'm speaking, getting paid. And on Tuesday, I'm speaking in LA or Orange County getting paid. I'll make about $8,000 between 2 speeches, and I just get to go hang out and have fun. So like, it's monetized indirectly. My podcast, I bring in about $10,000 a month from sponsors. I paid $12,000 to my team and to run it, but better than paying it out of pocket, right? And so it's like you just find different things, but all my real estate deals still come through that. I got a referral the other day for a $4 million buyer. I think they're under contract. I think our cut on that will be $8,000. They found me through social media. So it's not direct. It's not like you're like, I'm getting paid. Actually, TikTok sent me a check for like $1,500 last month. That was cool. So you can make a little, but it's not a lot, not gonna anything to live off. Now, if you really want to put it into one of the platforms to make money off the platform, it's YouTube, just so you know, but it's also the hardest one to grow. So that's the one that pays the best, but you get it indirectly. You get deals. You get one good flip because you've been building it on your social media. It's going to be worth everything you did, right? You get a couple listings, you get a couple buyers, it's all going to be worth it. But that all comes from building that brand on social media. So, all right, yeah, I got one more question. Go ahead.
So, take us back to the beginning when you were building your personal brand. You talked a lot about patience. I think a lot of us, when we're building our personal brand, we're building our business, there's no light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. We have these big, lofty goals. It's hard. It's a grind. What helped you stay motivated during that time, or stay disciplined and keep doing your calls or doing whatever it was you're doing?
Yeah, well, building my brand with social media was easy because I'd been calling for 3 or 4 hours a day. So I'm like, shit, all I got to do is make videos and post on social media. That's a lot better than calling FSBOs all morning. So that was easy. But it's consistency, man. Until you've been doing it for 10 years, you really don't have any right to think that it's going to be working. I mean, you just got to keep grinding and doing it and fall in love with the process. Like, it really is that. It's falling in love with the process of doing it. Because if you're thinking, like, I have a podcast studio where people pay us to come record their podcasts. We have about 20 to 25 different podcasts in there at a time being recorded. And I tell everybody that wants to start a new podcast, there's one thing for starting a podcast you've got to know. You better enjoy it. Because you're not going to make any money. You're not going to be famous. No one's going to stop you in the mall and tell you how cool your podcast was with your neighbor who's an insurance agent. Like, you're just not going to get any accolades from it. And so the only motivation is going to be that you know that you enjoy doing it. So when I started my podcast, I truly got to this space where I said, I don't care if anybody listens to it. I'm just going to do it because I love it. My first podcast was so bad, you guys. Like, I have had on now a lot of the biggest names in the entire world and country. I've had on the former president of Mexico. I mean, I could name drop 200 people that have been on that podcast. The first one I ever did was a Mormon rapper, and it was an 11-minute podcast. I didn't know what else to say. The guy that was doing the mic and the video was a kid in high school. It was Brad's kids, Lancaster. And they came, I was trying to like do it right, so I had like a boom mic, and it was just a mess. This is 8 years ago. Nobody was doing podcasting yet. I didn't know what to do. And I ran out of stuff to say because I was getting short answers in return. So Brad, my friend, starts asking my guest questions from behind the camera on my podcast. That was my first episode. Could not have gone worse. It's like 12 minutes. I was going to delete it, but I did one last year. Anybody know who Lamar Odom is? All the girls know. Keeping Up with the Kardashians or whatever the hell, right? Chloe? Camilla? Which one is it? I don't know. Anyway, is there a Camilla? I don't think so. Anyway, Lamar Odom, and I'm pumped to get this podcast. Flew to LA, rented out a suite. My buddy set this whole thing up for me. I'm going to interview Lamar Odom, one of the biggest names in reality TV. 8 minutes in, this dude's giving me nothing. I had to stop the interview. I just shut it off after 8 minutes, never put it out. Like, it doesn't always work. Things don't always go my way, right? I would ask him a question like, you know, dude, you were the #1 pick in the draft. You could have gone, or you're the #1 recruit out of high school. You could have gone anywhere in the country. You chose to go to Rhode Island. Why'd you pick there? And he just looks at me and he's like, with his bloodshot red eyes because he's high as shit. Him and Johnny Manziel both on my podcast. And he just looks at me and he's like, oh, they just seemed like the place to go. Cool beans, bro. Is this your first conversation you've ever had? But I couldn't piss him off because it was a good buddy of mine that made it happen. So after 8 minutes, I just cut it and called it a day. You know, it doesn't always work. That's what I said. Anyway, so I share that with you guys because it's a grind. Don't fall in love with the likes. Don't fall in love with how many people are commenting. Like, truly post and don't give a shit. But do it because you like it. All right? Find a way to do social media that you actually like it. How many of you guys have stuff on your social media feed that makes you feel bad? Be honest. Either because somebody's more successful than you, or maybe, like we're being real. Like, there's reasons why though, right? Or they just piss you off, right? Maybe they're a Republican or a Democrat, or how can you not see that she's faking it? She's making up her policies, right? They get so mad, or like, this guy's so mean, I can't believe you'd cheer for him. I don't have one person I'm following on my page that makes me feel anything but good. I have half the people I follow blocked, or muted, I mean, because I don't want to see their dumb pictures of their kids. I feel like I'm following a bunch of grade school people. Like, all I get is their damn kids playing sports. I'm like, I don't want to see this. I don't care. They all look the same to me. It's the same freaking kid. He's on 400 teams. So I just mute them. And every time I go to my social media, I get motivated. I get inspired because that's what I see on my social media feed. So you get to correlate your own experience. It's like in real life. Like, I don't just let people come hang out, right? Like, have a house party and some random ass walks in. I'm going to look at him like, what are you doing? You know, that's how I feel if people chime in on my social media. I don't respond back to the trolls. Like, this is a place for me and my friends to congregate and have fun. So anyways, thank you guys. If I can help you with anything, Mr. Jimmy Rex is my Instagram. I do answer all the DMs. If you ever have any questions, I can help you with anything. Seriously, feel free to reach out. And appreciate you guys letting me come, and hopefully you'll learn something today. Thank you.
Thanks so much, man.
Yeah.